Maresca is gone, but he is not done with Chelsea. Yet here is something that should make every Chelsea fan stop and think for a second. Enzo Maresca left Chelsea in January. He walked out the door under difficult and messy circumstances. There was tension. There was drama. There were reports flying all over the place about him secretly talking to Manchester City while he was still our manager. It was ugly. Most of us were angry. Some of us were relieved, but all of us thought the same thing when he left. He is gone now. That chapter is closed. But what if it is not closed at all? What if Maresca leaving Chelsea is actually just the beginning of a story that could come back and affect this club in a very big way? What if the man who walked out of Cobham is about to walk right back into our lives, but this time wearing sky blue and coming for one of our most beloved players? That is exactly what the latest news is pointing to. And if you are a Chelsea fan, you need to sit down and read every single word of this. The silence is broken. For months after leaving Chelsea, Maresca said absolutely nothing. No interviews, no public statements, no comments about the club, the players, or how things ended. Just silence. Then this week, he finally spoke. He sat down with Mundo Maldini on YouTube and opened up for the first time since his departure. And the most interesting thing he said had nothing to do with tactics or his time at Chelsea directly. It had everything to do with Marc Cucurella. Here is what Maresca said, word for word. I adore him. Adore him. I think he is every coach's dream. He is a spectacular guy, humble. He works every day. He is a winner. He wants to win. With me, he has also brought out his goal-scoring side. He scored 7 or 8 goals he never scored in his life. Read those words again. Really read them. I adore him. He said it twice. He did not just compliment Cucurella. He did not just say he was a good player. He poured genuine, real, deep affection into those words. You do not speak about a player like that unless there is a true bond there. And then he finished by saying, I hope for the best for him. He deserves everything. Him, his family, everything. Now ask yourself this. Why does a manager who has been sitting at home for months suddenly come out and speak so passionately about one specific Chelsea player? Why Marc Cucurella above everyone else? The answer might be simpler and more alarming than you think. The Man City connection that changes everything. Here is where this story gets really serious for Chelsea fans. Enzo Maresca left Chelsea because he was in talks with Manchester City about replacing Pep Guardiola. That is now basically confirmed. He left in January. Pep is expected to step down at the end of this season, and the football world is watching very closely to see who takes over at the Etihad Stadium. Maresca's name is the one that keeps coming up. In the same interview, Maresca was asked directly how he is coping without a job. He said, "It is good, trying to disconnect a bit and recharge my batteries to get ready to go again next year." He is not retired. He is not stepping away from football. He is resting and waiting. And when asked if his return might be at Manchester City, he said, "We will see what comes up before next season." That is the answer of a man who knows exactly where he is going, but is not ready to say it yet. So here is the picture being painted right now. Maresca goes to Manchester City in the summer. One of the first players he thinks about is a man he says he adores, a man he helped become a goal scorer for the first time in his career, a man he clearly has a deep personal connection with. That man is Marc Cucurella. Our Marc Cucurella. Does that concern you? It really should. What Cucurella means to Chelsea. Right now. Before we talk about the possibility of losing him, let us talk about what Cucurella actually is to this Chelsea team. When he first came to Chelsea in 2022, a lot of fans were skeptical. The club paid €65 million for him from Brighton, and many people felt that was too much money for a left-back who had only had one good season. The early days were difficult. He struggled to find consistency. There were performances where he looked lost. The criticism was loud, but then something changed. Under Maresca, Cucurella found a new version of himself. The thing Maresca pointed out in his interview is genuinely remarkable when you think about it. Cucurella has never been a goal scorer. In his entire career before last season, goals from open play were almost non-existent for him. He is a defender, he works hard, he tracks back, he defends. That is his job. But under Maresca, he started getting forward. He started arriving in dangerous areas. He started contributing to attacks in a way he simply never had before. 7 or 8 goals for a left-back in one season. That is extraordinary. And it was not just the goals. His overall confidence went up. His performances were more assured. He looked like a player who had found a home and a manager who understood him perfectly. Then Maresca left. And if you have been watching Chelsea closely since January, you have probably noticed that Cucurella has not been quite the same. His form has dipped. The goals have dried up. That spark that was there under Maresca has been harder to find. That tells you something important. Cucurella and Maresca had a special working relationship, and those kinds of relationships in football are rare and powerful. So what happens when one half of that relationship goes to Manchester City and calls the other half the player he adores more than anyone? The question. Every Chelsea fan is asking, would Chelsea sell Marc Cucurella to Manchester City? Let us be honest with each other here. A year ago, the answer would have been absolutely not. You do not sell a player the fans love to a direct rival in the same country. You do not hand Maresca a revenge card like that. You do not do it. But this is Blueco era Chelsea. And under Blueco, everything is for sale at the right price. We have seen it already. Players that fans thought were untouchable have been moved on when the numbers made sense for the club's financial model. The leadership at Chelsea has shown repeatedly that sentiment and fan feeling are secondary to the balance sheet and the long-term strategy. Cucurella's estimated transfer value right now sits at around 42 million euros. Chelsea paid 65 million euros for him. If City came in with 65 million or more, which they absolutely could, the financial logic becomes hard to argue against. And there is another angle here that makes this even more complicated. If Cucurella sees Maresca go to City, if he sees the manager who transformed him and who clearly loves him as a player and a person take over one of the biggest clubs in the world, will part of him want to follow? Players are human. Loyalty to managers is real. The bond Maresca described in that interview sounds genuine on both sides. This is not a simple situation, and Chelsea fans should be thinking about it seriously. Joao Pedro and the World Cup race. While the Maresca and Cucurella story is the biggest talking point this week, there is another huge conversation happening around Chelsea, and it involves our striker and the 2026 World Cup. Joao Pedro has had a brilliant season for Chelsea. Let us put the numbers on the table clearly. 18 goals and 9 assists across all competitions. Those are not just good numbers. Those are elite numbers. That is the kind of output that wins you trophies and wins you international recognition. For a player who made a high-profile move to Chelsea this season, he has delivered everything the club could have hoped for and more, and heading into the World Cup, those numbers make a very strong argument that he should be Brazil's number 9. But here is the problem. Rio Ferdinand does not agree. Speaking on his Rio Ferdinand Represents platform this week, Ferdinand was asked to pick between Joao Pedro and Matheus Cunha for the starting striker role in Brazil's World Cup squad. Cunha plays for Manchester United now, having left Wolves, and has had a solid season with 7 goals and 4 assists in 28 league matches. Ferdinand picked Cunha. His reason was about fluidity. He talked about how Cunha can rotate positions, how Rafinha can drift into the number 9 area, and how Cunha's ability to move around the front line gives Brazil flexibility. His exact thinking was that with Vinicius Jr. on one side and Rafinha on the other, you want someone in the middle who can float and connect rather than stay fixed as a traditional striker. It is a valid argument. Football at the highest level is more fluid than ever. The old idea of a pure number 9 who stays in the box and waits for the ball is dying. Modern strikers need to press, link up play, and cover ground. But here is the counter-argument that Joao Pedro supporters will make immediately. Pedro has 9 assists this season. Cunha has 4 in the league. If you are talking about a player who can link up play, connect with teammates, and contribute beyond just scoring, the assist column tells you a lot. Pedro is not just a box striker. He is involved in build-up play. He creates. He connects. And there is another point worth making. Pedro has experience playing out wide at his previous clubs. He is not a one-dimensional player. If Rafinha wants to drift into the 9, Pedro can move out wide and fill that space. He can do the same rotation that Ferdinand is praising Cunha for. So why is Ferdinand picking Cunha? Is it bias? Is it the Manchester United factor? Or is he genuinely seeing something in Cunha's movement and style that edges him ahead? What do you think? If you are picking Brazil's World Cup front 3 today, do you start Joao Pedro or Matheus Cunha alongside Vinicius Jr. and Rafinha? The Alexandre Pato angle. There is one more voice in this debate that is both interesting and a little painful for Chelsea fans. Alexandre Pato. For those who do not remember, Pato had a loan spell at Chelsea in 2016 that was truly one of the most forgettable episodes in recent club history. He arrived with fitness issues. He had to wait 64 days just to make his debut. In the end, he played 2 Premier League matches, totaling 131 minutes, scored 1 goal with a penalty against Aston Villa, and then left. That is it. That is his Chelsea career. But Pato was asked about the Brazil front 3 for the World Cup, and he also backed Cunha. He said, hopefully Neymar is okay, but if he is not ready, I think it is Rafinha, Vini Jr., and Cunha as forwards. So we have Ferdinand backing Cunha, we have Pato backing Cunha, and we have Chelsea News backing Joao Pedro. The debate is real, and it is not going away anytime soon. Brazil's manager will have a difficult decision to make. And for Chelsea fans, a lot is riding on it. Pedro having a great World Cup would be enormous for his development, his confidence, and his value to the club. A player who starts for Brazil at the World Cup and performs well becomes a different animal. The belief, the experience, the status it gives you. Chelsea need Pedro to go to that tournament and show the world what he has been showing in the Premier League all season, what all of this means for Chelsea right now. Let us pull all of this together and look at where Chelsea actually stand after this week's news. The Maresca situation is unresolved. He is out of work but ready to go again. He is almost certainly heading to Manchester City. He has just publicly declared his adoration for one of Chelsea's best players. That is a problem. Not a crisis today, but a problem that could become a crisis in the summer if City come in with serious money and Cucurella is tempted. The Joao Pedro debate is heating up at exactly the wrong time. Chelsea want their striker focused, confident, and ready to close out a strong season. Instead, his place in the Brazil squad and his World Cup starting position is being questioned publicly by former players with big platforms. That is a pressure Pedro does not need right now. And sitting underneath all of this is a bigger question about Chelsea's direction. Who is the long-term manager? What is the identity of this team? Are we building something real, or are we still in the phase of buying players and hoping things click? Maresca was supposed to be the answer to that question. He brought a clear style, a defined way of playing, and results were showing promise. Then he left, and now we are back to asking the same questions again. Chelsea fans are patient. We have been through enough cycles to know that nothing gets built overnight, but patience has limits. And the news this week is a reminder that the threats to this project are not just on the pitch. They come from outside too, from managers who left but did not forget, from rival clubs who want our best players, from debate and doubt creeping into the squad at the worst possible moments. A final word. There is something poetic and a little painful about all of this. Enzo Maresca sat in front of a camera this week and talked about Marc Cucurella the way a father talks about a son. With pride, with affection, with the kind of warmth that does not fade when people go their separate ways. And somewhere in that warmth is a warning for Chelsea. The best connections in football, the ones between managers and players who truly understand each other, are powerful forces. They pull people together across clubs, across countries, across rivalries. Maresca is going somewhere big this summer, and when he gets there, the first thought in his mind might not be tactics or transfers. It might just be the face of a Spanish left-back who worked every day, gave everything, and scored 7 or 8 goals he never scored in his life. If Chelsea are not careful, that story does not end in West London. It continues at the Etihad Stadium, and that should be enough to keep every blue supporter up at night. So here is the question to close on. If Manchester City come for Cucurella this summer, do you fight to keep him at all costs, or do you accept the money and move on? Let us know what you think in the comments. The conversation around this club never stops, and right now it has never been more interesting.